Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. We are back once again with our weekly podcast, Tru Heel Heat 108. On this edition of Tru Heel Heat, we will be discussing the latest wrestling news, including the latest COVID outbreak that affects all the televised brands in professional wrestling. Two popular WWE superstars not re-signing with the company, Roman Reigns' very unique challenger for the Royal Rumble, week 62 of the Wednesday Night Wars with WWE NXT and AEW Dynamite's New Year Smash Night 2, preview and predictions for Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view this weekend, and much, much more. I am back once again with the princess of all the Tru Heels, the returning, the beautiful, the lovely Miss Krssi Luv.
Hello, hello. I missed you guys. Hi.
Oh, God, I missed you so much, boo. I missed you.
She's the ray of sunshine throughout our...
Yeah, she's the radiance of Tru Heel Heat.
Till I blow up, you know.
Until we start talking.
Of course. And, of course, we have the resident Tru Heel alcoholic, the president of Titans Nation, although I don't know if he wants to be the president of that anymore. He got impeached.
Yeah.
So, JJ.
Yeah, so you know what? Shout outs to the goddamn Baltimore Ravens for finally beating us. It was a tough game to watch. That son of a bitch, Lamar Jackson, got away. One big play, that bastard got away and got a 52-yard touchdown on us. That was basically our doom, and this will be my doom for this episode.
I'm about to say last weekend was a hard weekend for football, guys.
I mean, it was a whole lot of football going on, but a hard weekend definitely for top guy JJ. So we're glad he's here with us. He might be having more to drink than usual.
We had him today. We had him too, man. We were up 10-0. And then that bastard, you know what? But major props, man. Shit, man. That's gonna be a rivalry for years to come. Oh, God.
Yep.
Of course. And we are joined again with a very special guest this week. A first-time special guest on Tru Heel Heat. He is a writer and presenter for Diva Dirt, a writer for Sportskeeda Wrestling, along with myself. He is the very talented and very insightful John Duffy.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
What an intro. Can I, I'm just going to record that and have that playing every time I enter the room. Put it in my kid's school bag so every time he enters this classroom, that also plays. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Can't wait to talk some wrestling with you guys.
Well, we are glad to have you, sir. You just need the theme music to add to that intro, and you're good to go wherever you go in the world. But, you know, I always try to do well with my intros, but we always want to hear from you yourself. Please tell the people that would be watching or listening to this about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Well, as my bio states, I like wrestling and I like writing, and therefore I've joined the two and I write about wrestling. I've been a wrestling fan since I was about maybe like 7-8 years old. Back to the the glory days, the Hulk Hogan days, the Ultimate Warrior days. He obviously fell out of love with it a little bit during the kind of the Ruthless Aggression era. I stopped watching other things. Other girls came into my life, so yeah, I had to stop watching muscly men in their underpants for a bit. But and then since kind of like when the Attitude Era kicked off, that kind of got me back into it and stuff. And then I started after like school, university, and an array of meaningless jobs. I decided I'd try my hand at writing about wrestling, and touch wood, so far so good. So far, it's going quite well. So
You're doing great stuff over at Diva Dirt, putting a spotlight on women's wrestling. So we are very happy to have you on here. We'll talk a little bit of women's wrestling, talk about wrestling from all over the world. That's what we do here on Tru Heel Heat. This
Do you
edition,
want the random Tru Heel Heat thing that I'm going to give you that you can take home with you, Mr. John?
oh yes, please.
You know, when I looked at you and I got into on here, I was like, yo, this is like a combination of Sami Zayn and the intelligent version of Eugene. I was like, holy shit. You got a perfect blend there, my man. Now you'll take that home with you.
Jesus Christ. This is why he's the resident Tru Heel alcoholic. He has very good analysis.
I love it. I'll lean towards the Sami Zayn side.
Intelligent version of you. That's why I said intelligent version. I made sure I let off with intelligent version. I didn't just call you Eugene. I just said intelligent version.
Gotta love it. This edition of Tru Heel Heat is brought to you by our good friends over at Wrestling Travel, as well as Powered 4 TV, the #1 streaming site in the UK where you can watch Tru Heel Heat. If you are watching on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with all your wrestling fans and friends and family. Of course, there is the iCard and the button below that. You can push that to subscribe. We are 50 subscribers away from 1K. So help us along with that journey. Help us hit 1K, and maybe we'll send some merch to you. We got our merch giveaway going on, and of course there is the bell. You can press all for all notifications for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. So of course, speaking about people subscribing to the channel, we got to talk the Tru Heel roll call, how we start off every edition of our podcast, shouting out you, the supporters, the subscribers for Tru Heel Heat, and our supporters on social media. Starting off first with our top 3 conversation starters, the Tru Heel Trinity. Coming in at number 3 is Josh Mitchell. Coming in at number 2 is the New Japan aficionado himself, James Wims. And coming in at number 1 is Amp McLennan Dominic. A new number 1, a new Negro Buck, Nick Jackson, coming in at number 1 here. Tru Heels that we got to shout out: Ryan Delorge, WrestleScope TV, one of the really good supporters over on Wrestling Daily for myself, as well as on the Twitter machine; Malik Majid, Mike Mills, Elliot Blakemore, our YouTube subscriber highlight. We got the Negro Buck himself in the comments section for Tru Heel Heat. 107 Nick Jackson commented, been a Jay White fan since I first saw him on Excursion in ROH in 2015. Love the Switchblade character, and this was definitely his masterpiece. Speaking about his match at Wrestle Kingdom 15, very interested to see where he goes from here, and congratulations to Ibushi on a rock star performance. Abed Heath Tirimala says Jay White is amazing and best heel in the business. That was also on Tru Heel Heat 107. Steve Salvage, the true face on Wrestle Kingdom 15 Night 2 Roundtable, commented, MVP was Jay White for all the reasons said. LVP, the ref in the junior tag match. I mean, come on, man. Most of the dirty things happened in front of you. He's very critical of the referees, I see. He said he felt day 2 had a little more weight to it, so day 2 was the better show, and he said easily a 9.5 out of 10 from the true face. And then finally we have Kayfabe Tactics, the king of the comment section, also commenting on Wrestle Kingdom 15 Night 2 Roundtable. He said, I enjoyed the show so effing much. I almost as much as I enjoy True Rewind for the Monday Night Wars. Yeah, those used to be fun to listen to. He commented this before we made our return for True Rewind. We went a couple of weeks without it. I'm sorry, Kayfabe. Kidding aside, thank you for all for putting the time to give your thoughts on both shows, starting it up now. So we got our YouTube subscriber out the way. We now got to talk about what we missed, and we've been doing it a little bit new. Krssi, I know you missed last week, but we've been doing a little bit new, and we've been hot with the Wednesday Night Wars. So we're going to start off
Ooh.
week 62 of the Wednesday Night Wars. We got John Duffy here with us. So we got to start it off hot. So as usual, we're going to give the ratings, talk about what happened on both shows, and then all of us will decide what we thought was the better show for the week. Miss Krssi Luv, do you want to return to your drum set?
Of course. You ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
So for week 62 of the Wednesday Night Wars, WWE NXT coming in with 551,000 viewers. That is down from last week with 641,000. Both shows were very much affected by the world news last week. But AEW Dynamite comes back very hard, up 100K to 762,000 this week. That is up from 662,000 that they did last week. On AEW Dynamite New Year Smash Night 2, Darby Allin defeated Brian Cage in a very fun main event with the help of Sting fighting off Ricky Starks. We had Don Callis replacing the Young Bucks with the Good Brothers in the Elite Reunion 6-man tag, defeating Danny Limelight and the Varsity Blondes. After the match, Jon Moxley and the Lucha Bros run out to fight off the Elite. Young Bucks interjected to stop Moxley from attacking Omega, still being his friend, and they were met with super kicks by the Lucha Bros. Pac defeated Eddie Kingston in a superb opener to the show. We had Serena Deeb defeat Tay Conte in Tay Conte's best match ever in a very good NWA Women's Championship matchup. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker was made official for Beach Break. FTR defeated Jurassic Express. Inner Circle made a three-way for tag supremacy within the group, with Sammy Hager being the newest team added, and Miro defeated Chucky T to make Chuck become his butler until the wedding at Beach Break. WWE NXT had MSK, aka The Rascals, debut on NXT this week in a very great debut for them, defeating Jake Atlas and Isaiah Swerve Scott to advance in the Dusty Cup. The Undisputed Era defeated Breezango to advance in the Dusty Cup, as well as Grizzled Young Veterans defeating Everrise in the Dusty Cup. Candice LeRae beat Shotzi Blackheart in a solid opener. Gargano defeated Loomis. Women's Dusty Rose Tag Team Classic first round was set with Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter versus Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, and the way of Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell versus Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon in the first round matchups with the four teams involved in that tournament. So we will start with John Duffy. We'll start with you, our guest. What did you think was the better show between NXT and AEW?
I always watch AEW first, and I'm going to have to stop doing it because I always do feel that NXT does kind of pale in comparison. I don't know if it's just the kind of the look and the vibe and the openness of Daly's Palace that they've got, and they've also got the kind of added boost of a live crowd. NXT, I'm already a little bit tired of the NXT Capital Wrestling Center look. At first, it was great, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to go with the good old AEW. I thought it was a better show. You obviously had the Good Brothers appearing on AEW this time in a match, which was really good to see. That really fantastic match between Tay Conte and Serena Deeb, and then I just love Pac. I love he's just angry all the time. He's just always fuming at someone, and obviously this time Eddie Kingston. But I think although NXT was a good show, they had some really good tag team matches. But I just think AEW just pips it all kind of every week, and hence the ratings proving that.
I have to agree with you a lot. I've been watching AEW first over NXT, and it does affect the viewing of NXT every single week. No matter how good NXT is, it does affect the viewing process. Let's go over to Miss Krssi Luv. What was your better show for the week, AEW or NXT?
I never thought about the look of like the atmosphere until John just said it. But yes, it's getting boring, I guess, for NXT, and that's probably why we're feeling the way we do. But unlike you guys, I watched them both at the same time, and
She's a Wednesday night warrior.
I
I
love
watched
it.
them both at the same time, and I don't think that NXT was bad. I thought it was actually a fairly decent show. However, unfortunately, I have to pick one. And how did Darby Allin beat Brian Cage? Like that was a good match. I don't understand how he won. I really don't get it. Like
I
he
was
should have
gonna
lost.
bring up the genius in the finish. The genius in the finish
Like because he got
was
beat up the whole time.
no. I totally agree with you, but the genius in the finish is, if you remember, the whole start of the Darby Allin versus Taz feud was because Darby lost to a crucifix pin to Cody Rhodes. How did he beat Brian Cage? The crucifix pins. That's that long-term booking that AEW just gets on point, and it's ridiculous.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, what a great closer to that show. AEW for the win. Like I said, NXT was not bad. NXT was good. Cool build up for the Dusty Rhodes Classic. However, unfortunately, it's becoming like nothing is being like tied in together. It's just like a show just thrown. And I've been saying this for weeks. It's like bingo. They just throw all the balls in a thing. We just roll it. And we're gonna pick it out, and that's how the show goes.
Does seem like that a lot. Top guy JJ.
I don't know what's going on in NXT. Like it literally comes to the point is I just don't know what's going on over there. We had New Year's Evil, then we went straight to NX Tag. Basically, the entire show was tag matches, which it could make some good material. It could make a good show, but then they just lose the fact that this is a weekly episodic show that needs a story to it. This just like NXT is just on a different platform and a different level to AEW. Like AEW is an actual wrestling program that provides you weekly substance and great matches, great wrestling, and then you get stories to go with it. Like I just don't think they're getting that out of NXT at all. And it's just missing the mark on just too many fundamental things that we look for as wrestling viewers. Like I kind of wish that I would have saw Thatcher and Ciampa get a little bit more time. Like they had like a great interaction with each other, and it was like 3 minutes. And that was like one of the best things that they had going on. And no, okay, so MSK, that was a Rascals great debut. That was a great debut by the Rascals. Yes. So I don't want to take anything away from their debut. And honestly, it's hard for me to believe how good of a match Breezango can have. It still doesn't, like, I don't click those two in Breezango great match and just Breezango. I just don't do it. They need to just change their name or some shit. It just doesn't flow.
Yeah, facts for sure. And they give them great matches. It's just named and the outfits suck.
And AEW wasn't that great to me. But AEW was just that much better television-wise for me, because I got everything out of it. I got everything I need. I got a decent match. I got a good title main event. I got a great opener. I get to see Pac mad. I mean, Pac is still upset over his WWE contract. You could just see the anger coming out of him every week. Like he's still mad at it. That interaction with the Young Bucks feeling, I'm telling you, I love these little nuggets of the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers, like them just being replaced out of nowhere. They're like, oh, okay. I mean, AEW is just on a different level. Like AEW, I can't even say, it's hard to give NXT victories when they're not even on the same playing field right now. It's like NXT has to have a pristine show. It's like they have to have a pristine show to feel like they're competitive, and they're just not really competitive at the moment right now. AEW is just clicking on too many cylinders, and NXT is just trying to find a cylinder.
I gotta agree with all of you guys. I'll make it unanimous. AEW Dynamite New Year Smash Night 2 was the better show. I think the only segment I can kind of criticize was the rating room. The rating room was a lot of hit and miss. I really enjoyed Britt Baker. She looked like an absolute star. She was presented like a star, and Reba playing Ed McMahon was hilarious. It was so hilarious. The Jade Cargill, her look. She looks like a star. She looks like a star.
Yes.
But it's something missing.
The promo is just not there yet. It's just not there all the way yet. I like Red Velvet being the Brandy Rhodes replacement because they established that partnership between those two ladies. I like the fact that we have Jade versus Red Velvet. We have Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. I like that the women's division feels like we're getting some type of concentration, some creaity to it.
The women's belt looks like Matchbox.
Let's not bash.
Damn, Krssi, he's trying to finally give the women some prop show.
We can give them all the props, but their belt looks like trash. That's what it is.
Oh my god, I like the NWA.
It looks like a Cracker Jack box.
The NWA title has the picture of the champion in the middle. I like that. That's old school.
Make it bigger, like and look how small she is. It looks like she's called the whole belt. Sorry,
vintage. That's the vintage look
with a belt around her. No,
I prefer that over the carbon copy WWE title that both women's championships look like on the main roster. I don't like that. I know it looks too much like a toy to me. I prefer. I'm just saying,
like, give it some type of love, like you did the men's title. The men's title is beautiful, and the TNT one is beautiful, but you give the girls a crap ass belt. Sorry, not sorry. You know it's true.
Can I get back to complimenting them now? So I didn't like the whole transition from the pull apart. First of all, I didn't like two pull apart brawls back to back. That hurt the show, and it was like too similar from the segment before that. And the transition wasn't smooth from that to Thunder Rosa's promo. So that was the only like bad part. Everything else on the show was either it hit a single or it was a home run. The Elite segment was a home run on so many levels. It was so nuanced, so great storytelling from the promo segment in the backstage with Don Callis calling the Young Bucks Omega's friends, and then him saying, "Oh yeah, it's do a separate entrance. You guys are the tag team champions, yeah." And then him bringing in the Good Brothers, so he kind of sets up Callis as the Yoko Ono of the Elite. But we don't know if Omega's with it. Is Omega mad that they didn't get in their car at All Out? And I had people that was like they thought it was too soon, but this is all a continuation of the Elite saga. It's not something new with the formation and the Too Sweet last week. It's all a continuation. So I dig the storytelling and how many things is set up with Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks, Lucha Bros versus Good Brothers, Moxley versus Omega. Such great stuff. And they put a big spotlight on Danny Limelight and the Varsity Blondes, and Danny Limelight looked great out there. So I enjoyed that. But the big thing I got to talk about is the two title matches. Tay Conte looked incredible, and that was the biggest mainstream indictment of the WWE system because she was there for 5 years. And
are you serious?
5 years, and we never saw
she
that.
Looks like oh my god, wow.
Yes.
I was just like, who is she? And you telling me she's been there sitting in the back just chilling for 5 years?
Yes, and they also had Serena Deeb as a trainer when she's been the most consistent worker on the women's roster for AEW since she's come on, and she just did that again, pulling out Tay Conte's best match. And then the main event, Darby Allin is the perfect opponent for Brian Cage. Brian Cage looked like an absolute monster, an absolute machine. He bumped all over the place for Brian Cage. That was the best he's looked in AEW. And then the great storytelling with the ending and Sting getting physical, a progression in that story, just top-notch stuff with that. But other than the waiting room and the little adjustments here and there, this was a really good follow-up to last week's show. NXT, I thought it was a good show. I like the focus on the Dusty Cup. MSK's debut was great, but like you guys have all said, it's not the same from watching AEW. AEW has a certain energy to it that NXT just hasn't been able to match yet.
Can we just add how great? Like, can we just talk about how? Honestly, this is one of JR's best called matches on AEW to me. it was like he was pre-enshrining Brian Cage as the new TNT champion already. He was like already foreseeing it happen. He was just like, oh, he's about to become champion. Like him and Taz was telling the story like this is a foregone conclusion. It's over already. Darby has no shot. And like I love those little nuances in these matches. Like they just give you the basic shit you're gonna talk about, but they say it on live TV, and it's like, oh, that came out really well. And they're giving Darby his props, like he's been a great champion. Like, yo, like come on, he ain't lose yet.
Yeah, that was some great commentary. They've been on a roll the last couple of weeks. The commentary has been a place where I can criticize AEW. Huh?
Adding Taz there was good too.
Yeah, Taz is always great. Taz has been probably one of the best like under the radar additions to AEW since he's been introduced as a manager and as a commentator. He's just on point.
Yeah,
sorry, I apologize, John.
No, you after you, please.
Can we just say that was the best Dexter Lumis match that he's ever had, even though he lost?
I did not like that match. I'm just gonna be honest.
Really?
I'm just not. I'm not sold on Dexter Lumis.
That's probably what it is. Okay.
If that was the best Dexter Lumis match, that was the weakest Johnny Gargano match that I've seen.
I mean, Johnny kind of carried it, but you know.
You know who I ain't sold on? Karrion fucking Kross.
Oh,
well, he wasn't even on this week.
He gets one victory, and Scarlett is already targeting Finn Balor already. Like, what the fuck? He had one match, bro.
He never lost the title. John, you wanted to add something?
Jeez.
Well, no, it was just harking back to the props we were giving to the AEW commentary team. I think JR has, I don't know what's happened. I think maybe someone's got in his ear and told him to kind of tone down the live on-air criticism of the talent after he slated the dive, the waiting, didn't he? And there was a bit of backlash from that. But I think since then he's definitely upped his game. Him, Tony, and as you said, Excalibur always, and the added addition of Taz is always fantastic. I absolutely love Taz on AEW Dark as well because you can see it. It's not full throttle, and him and Excalibur just have all these in jokes and private jokes, which I think it lightens up AEW Dark because I do watch AEW Dark, but mainly just the women's matches for kind of reviews. So I skip a lot of it, but Taz and Excalibur are always great on that. But back just to talk about Dexter Lumis, I think at first he was interesting. He had his interesting vibe with his stare and stuff. But the boil is definitely off him. He just seems to be lost, and I think it's not very funny anymore. His presence, his artwork is like some artist on a boardwalk who's like set doing it for a couple of bucks. But I enjoyed the match. I thought it was an alright match. I always enjoy a Johnny Gargano match, but it wasn't great. But it was probably Dexter Lumis's best match, as he said. Hence, because of Johnny. I'm just saying because.
Y'all being Dexter Lumis is trash, yo. Yo, why are we being so nice to this guy? He's trash.
Okay,
he was a creep. Now he's doing artwork, and now he's this fluffy good guy with the creepy music still. Like, come on.
Fun fact, I happen to like his crazy, creepy looks. Now, him wrestling-wise, we have to just work on it. But other than that, like I said, out of all his matches, this one was the best because he went against someone that was, actually great. And the other ones you can't really compare his wrestling to because it's just whatever. So this is actually Johnny gave him a great match. That's all.
Johnny.
That's all we're saying.
Thank you, Johnny Gargano. Is what we're all trying to say.
And Jr. I think Jr. is actually starting to learn who he's working with. So I think he's invested because he's actually learning the roster for real, for real. I think he's actually knowing who these people are. Has to know who these people are to be invested in them. He was just sounding like a guy calling moves. Now he is actually learning them.
Mm-hmm. But he was calling moves that he didn't.
Yeah, he was a move caller. So now he's got a little bit of a story to share with them about. He knows that they've been struggling. He knows a little bit of background about them. So his commentary digs a little deeper. So he's been better.
I agree with all of you. Real quick before we end off with our Wednesday Night Wars discussion, like we said, the NXT was focused on the Dusty Cup. Who do you got winning the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic? Let's start with you, John.
Just because of the Liverpool connection, I'd love to see the Grizzled Young Veterans go all the way. I love a Scouser on television, especially one as good as Zach Gibson. I think he's him and James Drake. I actually watched them in progress live a couple of times, and they're such a good tag team. They're a really fluid and smooth tag team, and Zach Gibson has really come into his own as he's found this like arrogant Scouse character, and he's amped it up to like not even 11, like 15. But I think since they've moved up to NXT from NXT UK, I think they've obviously been given a big push. So I think Triple H and Shawn Michaels like them. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Grizzled Young Veterans, please.
I'm a big fan of Zach Gibson. I've been told I look like a shorter, younger Zach Gibson, and he's Liverpool's number one. So I agree with you. But I'm gonna actually go with MSK here. MSK to get the victory because I think they would work better against Birch and Lorgan in the title match. Krssi Luv, who do you got in the Dusty Classic?
Okay, wait. Who are the people again now?
Whoever you can remember is in it. You got Cole and Strong.
Who advanced? The Undisputed Era of Cole and Strong. Then you have MSK. Then you have the Grizzled Young Veterans. And who the hell is the fourth team?
No, there wasn't a fourth match. There was three matches.
They had 3 matches, but Johnny's team didn't fight this week.
Yeah, Johnny Gargano in theory are versing Kushida and Leon Ruff next week. You got
they ain't going nowhere.
You got Killian Dane, Drake Maverick. You got the Imperium. You got Legado del Fantasma. So, go ahead.
You got a lot to choose from.
Exactly.
I mean,
there's 13 teams left.
They made a tag team champ, which is Imperium. I like them. Let me go with them.
Imperium?
Yeah. Okay. Imperium. I think they're great, especially since they came over. They've been good. So give me them.
All right. And who you got, JJ?
I'm gonna actually agree with John. I think it is the time that the Grizzled Young Veterans needs to make their claim in the NXT landscape. I think MSK will make the finals in that bracket, but I believe they will lose to the Grizzled Young Veterans. And then once you hit the other side, I see the way going. If they're on the other bracket, they're not making it past the second round. But if they're on the other bracket, I see them making the finals.
I think the finals are going to be Grizzled Young Veterans and MSK since they're on opposite sides of the bracket. I think that's the most likely.
That's what I was at. Yeah, okay. So then, so I would pick them to lose in the finals then, because I see MSK going far.
Yeah, I think those are the most likely. And like I said, I love Zach Gibson. I think that they should get more mic time on NXT because I feel like right now the fans are not invested in them, but they will be if they give Zach Gibson more time on the mic. So we will have more on the Dusty Cup as it progresses, but we got to move on. Also, this weekend, what we missed was Impact Genesis. Ace Austin wins the Super X Cup, defeating Suicide, Cousin Jake, and Blake Christian in the finals. Me, Top Guy JJ, Jonathan, and Josh all predicted that, even though Jonathan did not think Ace Austin was going to win in the first round, but still picked him to win the cup. Shouts out to him. Moose
He picked
Moose
Ace Austin
said,
to lose in the first round, but he picked him to win the tournament.
I know that was you had to mention that. You just have to. You just have to. Very good main event in the I Quit match with Moose saying I quit after getting a shot at the Impact World Title from Rich Swann, just as he was going to end the career of Willie Mack in their match. And Jordan Grace defeats Jazz in a very good, hard hitting knockouts matchup. What's your thoughts, Top Guy JJ, on Moose getting a shot at the Impact World Title? Do you think that he will get the shot at Rich Swann before we have a Rich Swann Omega champion versus champion match?
Oh, absolutely. This has to happen. This has to happen on their next pay-per-view. They got to get this out the way. That's why I think they're doing this. They're going to get this Hard to Kill pay-per-view out the way, which should be a banger. But I think Moose has to get this before Swann and Omega clashes. They have to get this. They have to get this in. But they could also be thinking of namesake and probably changing the title and putting that belt on Moose to give Kenny a harder match. You never know, because Moose has been, if there had to be a Moose, when we did the Tru Heel Heat, when we did the Tru Heel Awards, I'm surprised that Moose didn't get honorable mentions for most improved. Because Moose has been a beast in 2020. And he would be definitely a strong opponent for Kenny. But, you know, I like Rich Swann, but I won't be mad at Moose.
Yeah, and he's gotten into incredible shape over the past year for sure. We also had this week Impact Wrestling, the go-home show for Hard to Kill, with Rich Swann defeating Carl Anderson in a good main event, followed by a brawl between the two teams in the Hard to Kill main event. We had Rosemary realigned with Crazy Steve to help fend off Caleb with a K to defeat Tennille Dashwood. You had Susan...
Oh, wow.
The third face of Su Yung helped Kimberly beat Taya Valkyrie. Like we said before, John, you're an expert on women's wrestling, writing about it on Diva Dirt. What's your thoughts on the Impact Knockouts division? You got so much talent over there with Deonna Purrazzo, Taya Valkyrie, Rosemary, Tennille Dashwood, the three faces of Su Yung, and you got the Knockouts tag team titles returning this weekend at Hard to Kill. What's your thoughts, and where do you place the Impact Knockouts division in the landscape of women's wrestling?
Right under NXT, right under NXT's women's division. They've got NXT. I've got the best women's division, I think, in wrestling right now. But Impact just, I think it was like late 2019, early 2020. They just low key built one of the best women's division in North America. You know, they signed Jordan Grace, and then obviously it was amped up when they got Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah.
She came in. She was obviously hungry, big chip on her shoulder, a lot to prove from her NXT and WWE run, and she's just showed how good she can be. You know, now that she's been given a chance and the chains are off and whatnot, she's really kind of expressed herself as that brutal submission and technical wrestler. She's also built this really kind of virtuoso character that she. Did she ever speak in NXT? I don't think. I don't think she ever did. So she's really come into her own, and she's really expressed herself well. I still think Jordan. If it wasn't for Deonna Purrazzo coming in, Jordan Grace would still be the champion, and she could still be the face of the Knockouts division. Obviously, Taya Valkyrie is a kind of stalwart of that division, also as is Rosemary, which was great to see the DK get back together. Tennille Dashwood has come back with a real kind of rejuvenation. She took some time away, travelled to some beautiful places according to her Instagram, which they've tied in excellently with Caleb with a K, who is, at first I didn't really like him, but he's fantastic, and I love the way they do Instagram photos during her matches, and she does poses and stuff. That's really, really funny stuff. And then I think that once the Knockouts tag team division comes back, they are gonna knock out WWE's attempt at a women's tag team division, because at least they know how to book main roster kind of women's wrestling, whereas WWE on the main roster seem to be kind of failing quite drastically at the minute.
WWE has a women's tag division.
Only when it's on a double champion. Only when
I know they got belts, but they don't got a division.
Exactly. Whereas,
it's sad but true.
Yeah. Whereas even Impact even brought in some excellent competitors for the tag team tournament. Such as Team Sea Stars. And if they get Killer Kelly, if Impact get Killer Kelly, then Deonna Purrazzo versus Killer Kelly will be a match of the year for sure. So I hope they do that. And then of course they've given Jazz that spotlight once again. She retired quietly in 2020 because she wasn't able to wrestle. So she's getting that send off that she deserves for her legacy. So and that match against Jordynne Grace was fantastic. If people haven't seen it, they just go and check it out because it's a real good one.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of physically intense matches like that in women's wrestling, and that one was definitely one of the highlights of the Genesis pay-per-view. So also this week we had MLW Fusion with Los Parks defeating the Von Erichs to win the MLW tag team titles. Sad to see that with my boys, the Von Erichs. We had Mil Muertes make his MLW debut, defeating Brian Pillman Jr. in a squash, and that might be the send-off for Brian Pillman Jr. in MLW, I think. But also you had Smackdown with very interesting decision in the main event. Adam Pearce wins a gauntlet thanks to Roman Reigns and Jey Uso to set up the WWE Universal Championship match at the Royal Rumble. This is after we seemingly saw a babyface turn and rehab of Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Rey Mysterio.
Fucking time.
He defeated Rey Mysterio, King Corbin, and Daniel Bryan back to back before losing to Adam Pearce thanks to the insertion of Reigns and Uso. Krssi Luv, SmackDown is your domain. What was your thoughts on the gauntlet overall with Nakamura's turn as well as rehab, revitalizing him for the first time in 2 years, it seems like, and Adam Pearce winning in the end?
Okay, so I had to watch this all in Spanish, right? Because I was away. And I was wondering how. I was like, okay, Shinsuke won the first. All right. Then he won the second one. I was like, oh, okay. Then he won the next one. I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. But I was like, well, how is he supposed to face Roman? And then that's when I seen the next opponent. And I was like, oh, okay. So they had the whole switcheroony. And they did the whole switch up. And I was like, okay, how is this going to now play out at the Royal Rumble? What's going to happen? I know we all know what's going to happen, but I'm very surprised. I want to know what their next move is going to be. We already know that their storylines are shit shows, but this storyline has been good. Don't fuck it up. You understand what I'm saying? I was like, I'm very curious to see how it was. Good show for what I saw in Spanish, but other than that, they gave Shinsuke a little push because Shinsuke's been sitting in the back for a minute, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
So do you think we're going to see Adam Pearce get the shot at the Universal Championship, or are we going to have Nakamura or KO be inserted instead, Top Guy JJ?
Please, for the love of God, let Shinsuke get the chance at the Rumble so we can remember who he is.
Right.
Because all I remember now is the guy coming out with the Beat It outfit on. Like that. That's literally all I'm getting now, and it's like
a more extravagant Beat It outfit.
It's like, come on, dude. Like, Shinsuke is one of the best fucking wrestlers in the world, and he has not even been treated like a proper mid-carder over the past 3 years in the W. Ever since he lost to AJ Styles at WrestleMania 34, his career has been dog shit. And it has just been downward spiral, and we're going on 3 years of this nonsense. Shinsuke is there's somebody you just watch on TV and be like, yo, they got a diamond and they're just not using it. Use it. Use it. He's there. Just use it. And give him his fucking theme back so he can chant to the shit.
hey, there's no fans to chant to Shinsuke's old theme, so at least there's that.
They can say if they can scream Triple H.
They can pipe in the fan. They can pipe in the "This is awesome" chants during match. They can pipe in the fans doing his theme music.
I never want to hear their piped in crowd noise, especially because they have different volumes for depending on which legend.
How the fuck they pipe in "This is awesome"?
All I will say is that I dig Shinsuke getting this babyface turn and getting this rehab, but it just seems very mistimed with what they did in the end. I felt like this would have been much more effective if Daniel Bryan was in the role of the underdog who was fighting through the gauntlet and then got screwed by Reigns and Uso. They've already set up that storyline with Uso having beef with Daniel Bryan, and it would set up the Daniel Bryan-Roman Reigns feud, which has been speculated to happen at WrestleMania. This whole Nakamura thing, we might get Nakamura getting a shot before WrestleMania, but I feel like this would have been the perfect extra boost Daniel Bryan needed to have a reason to win the Royal Rumble, to get the shot that he should have gotten here. It just would have made a little bit more sense and been more effective to me.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you, man, because I think Daniel Bryan is already popular. He's already basically 2 weeks away from being mainstream already. Mm-hmm. Literally, you give him a few weeks of good matches, he's already back to top tier contender.
Yep. Agreed.
Shinsuke, because Daniel Bryan has been WWE champion in the past 2 years. What the hell has Shinsuke gotten since he lost to AJ Styles?
Nothing.
A 2 to 3 week run as Intercontinental Champion that we don't even remember.
My whole point is they would be screwing over an established babyface instead of a guy that just turned babyface 20 minutes ago. It doesn't make sense.
It's gotta start somewhere.
There's still gonna be people that's just like, oh, they screwed over a heel because they did. You could turn the channel late to Fox and not realize that Shinsuke is a babyface, and you would think that Roman Reigns and Jey Uso are babyfaces because they're helping the Adam Pearce get the victory.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, thank you. That's why it would have been more effective with Daniel Bryan to me. But we got to talk about the other things that happened on SmackDown. You had Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode defeat the Street Profits to win the SmackDown.
Dirty dogs.
They're dirty dogs. You had Sonya Deville take a new job assisting Adam Pearce as an authority figure on SmackDown, and Big E defeat Apollo Crews to successfully defend the IC championship. What was your thoughts on the Dirty Dogs, the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, John?
I really liked it. I've always been a big fan of Bobby Roode, even from back in his TNA days, where he split up with James Storm and Beer Money, and he had that really good run as champion. It did echo had sentiments of Ric Flair and Triple H, but he really grew. He did prove himself as an effective main eventer, but that was years ago. And when he came to NXT, he got a chance to run with that and portray that, but then as soon as he came to the main roster, man, you just knew that he was not going to thrive on the main roster. Vince obviously heard that theme tune and was like, "My God, you're a babyface," and then he was just theme tune man for a couple of months, and he's done a few bits and bobs, and then he became Robert Roode. He went from Bobby Roode to Robert Roode and had a really killer mustache. I'll give him that. But I think they seem to have found the stride. Him and Ziggler, the careers kind of echo each other. They're quite similar, where they're nearly men. They've always been there, but have never quite reached the potential. And I think the match was fucking great, really good. I was really surprised, and I was really shocked that they changed. They obviously kind of foreshadowed it with the injury to Montez Ford. Montez Ford just continues to prove that he is a megastar in the waiting. Hopefully,
Sure.
they'll see it and they'll just strap the rocket to him, because he's just going to be uber megastar if WWE allow him to be. But yeah, and I also liked Robert Roode's pink undies. I thought they were. I thought they had a nice touch to, kind of like harken back to the Bret Hart Foundation. So that was pretty decent, and it's more than they deserve. They deserve to be tag team champions. So yeah, I'm up for it, and it strengthens the SmackDown tag team division for a bit. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I think it was the right decision to kind of put Street Profits in a new role. We've seen them as champions for over almost a year now, so I understand the change as well. And then finally, the last thing what we missed was Monday Night Raw. This show was drastically changed via to Drew McIntyre testing positive for the COVID-19 virus. So we had Triple H and Randy Orton in a fight as the main event, with Alexa Bliss coming down and throwing a fireball into Randy Orton's face. Krssi Luv, what was your thoughts on Alexa Bliss becoming Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter and doing an Hadouken in Randy Orton's face?
Well, why did she do that the week before that then?
She was away.
See what I'm saying? With bad stories not putting together. Let's get in the bingo ball. Let's get together. Oh, B59, you're up. Like this should have happened like the next day after she put like, if not 2 weeks later, once she confronted him and she was at the park and she was on the swing. That was cute. That was fun. And then next week she could like let's have a wrestling match. No, nigga, excuse me, sorry. No, throw the damn fireball at me.
She was Ken and Ryu. She pulled the Hadouken. So
she had good aim. She had really good aim.
She did.
Yeah, she had great aim. I was like, whoa, but I think too little, too late.
Hey, it was a better fireball than Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc 1998. That's all I can say. Drew.
You know what?
Drew.
Good anymore, so.
Drew McIntyre did appear via Skype with two very good promos, first explaining why how he got the virus and how he wasn't having symptoms, so we're happy to hear about that. And he also accepted the challenge of Bill Goldberg for the Royal Rumble, doing a good maintenance job of cleaning up the mess that Bill Goldberg got them in with his promo last week. And in my favorite, I don't know about you, Top Guy JJ, my favorite segment, Ric Flair turned heel on Charlotte Flair, costing her a match against Lacey Evans, who he is now aligned with. So horny Ric Flair shows punani over his daughter.
Pause. I'm just saying, Charlotte did say stay out of my business, so he went to go get his own business. My man's recovered. My man got himself a fresh suit. So he went back to the kiss steal and wheel and deal and jet flying. I got my rollies on. And I'm going to get me some honeys. And, it just happened to be, the one that you was fighting. Oops.
Hey, I enjoy Ric Flair staying consistent to the character that we've known him to be for 40 years.
So Lacey Evans is about to understand why he had the longest line for the longest ride.
And this is dedicated to you, Ric Flair. That was actually really funny. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But it's creepy, but funny.
Hilarious stuff on Monday Night Raw to me. Bobby Lashley also defeated Riddle to successfully defend the U.S. Championship. And that brings us That brings us to our top news story, which has to do with the COVID-19 outbreaks in WWE, AEW, and Impact Wrestling. As mentioned before, WWE announced this week that WWE Champion Drew McIntyre has tested positive for COVID-19. Fightful Select reports that McIntyre was only one of several wrestlers who tested positive after the holidays, as several wrestlers reportedly now have the virus. Wrestling Observer Radio and Dave Meltzer reported that it is up to at least 4 wrestlers, including Drew McIntyre. Meltzer said that one is from SmackDown that was scheduled for last week's episode of SmackDown and was removed from the show, while another is a big star that just returned from COVID. And the fourth person is from the NXT brand. According to Fightful Select, shows from WWE, Raw, and SmackDown, as well as AEW and Impact, are all affected by this COVID outbreak, as several matches and appearances were pulled. WWE sources said that they expected positive tests after the holidays, but they're surprised things weren't worse. Impact tapes a couple of months worth of shows this weekend after the Hard to Kill pay-per-view, so they should be probably the most affected by this. Meanwhile, AEW filmed 2 weeks worth of shows last week, so that is why we didn't see too much adjustments made to their show. This follows the report from AEW that we talked about last week, that Thunder Rosa was removed from New Year's Smash Night 2 following being in contact with someone with COVID-19. In related news, in regards to AEW and the outbreak, Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks and Chris Jericho revealed this week that they tested positive for the virus in September. PW Insider reported that several talent during the Raw taping that some had speculated were affected by the outbreak were just backstage during Raw and weren't used. That includes Cedric Alexander, Asuka, Shelton Benjamin, Nikki Cross, Humberto Carrillo, and Ricochet. So what are your guys' thoughts on the latest COVID outbreaks across the wrestling world? Let's start with you, John.
Well, from what I saw on like social media around the New Year's Eve, was just wrestlers partying, masks off. You know, I mean, not naming names, but you know, I saw multiple kind of posts of people just hanging out and stuff. Because I don't know what it's like over your way, but we're on like full on lockdown. Like supermarkets. Oh, that's it. Yep. Supermarkets only. The school, you know, even the schools are closed over here. So it was quite. It was, you know, it was surprising to see a lot of kind of festivities kind of continuing. So it could. I'm gonna assume that that's where it kind of came from. A lot of kind of mixing, you know, because again, you know that all wrestlers are friends, you know, regardless of the company. So you can see that you can you know possibly see where it's come from. But yeah, the one thing that did surprise me was WWE's announcement where they actually said COVID.
Yeah.
First, I think they said it in the Keith Lee documentary, the Keith Lee Chronicle. I think that was the first time it was like properly mentioned. Otherwise, it's been, you know, global circumstances, and you know they've kind of gone out of their way not to say the word COVID. So to kind of release it on Twitter, you know, to be as candid as they were, I thought that was really interesting. I did think, you know, it is a drastic move on Drew McIntyre's part to not fight Goldberg, but sorry, that was a bad joke. But he's. Yeah, unfortunately, that match still looks like it's going ahead. No, it was, and it's scary because you know why. You know they've used it against Roman Reigns in an angle that you know that he went away. It's like he's got babies. You know what I mean? He's got to protect his family. You know the way that him going away for a time, and it was similar with Sami Zayn as well. You know. they made it out that like they were cowards for kind of not turning up to work. And if reports are to be believed, you know, WWE weren't testing people for months. You know, it's quite scary. It's quite scary if you think about it, and if they're true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just goes to you know what I mean. Like if it happens, imagine if it happens to Rome, if it's happened to Drew McIntyre, it can happen to anyone. It can happen to Roman Reigns, and then you know, fucking hell, man, Ric Flair's like 70. And like you know, I mean, he was Drew McIntyre was hanging out with Hulk Hogan and stuff, you know, and these are all people are at that like danger level, you know. So
Yeah.
it's pretty reckless at times. From what can happen, but yeah, you know, luckily he's not got any symptoms. He's just tested positive, so he's not being physically affected by the disease. So there is, you know, that's the kind of silver lining or the kind of blessing in disguise. So yeah, you know, I mean, it's I suppose WWE are quite lucky it hasn't been as bad as it could. It's bad, but it could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, I think they were kind of put into a position where their back was against the wall. They really booked heavily, even more than usual, this whole episode of Raw around Drew McIntyre. Like all the commercials was like, this is a big night for the WWE Champion. He's got to accept Bill Goldberg's challenge. He's got to verse Randy Orton. So when he's the one that tested positive, they kind of had to kind of put out there that he tested positive. So it is a big step for them though, because they did address it. Even though if you didn't see the news and you just watch Randy Orton and Triple H's promo, they kind of tippy-toed around it and never wanted to mention why Drew wasn't going to verse Orton. But, you know, it was nice that they had Drew kind of address it on the show. Yeah. So Miss Krssi Luv, I gotta ask you, what was your thoughts on Drew McIntyre being revealed that he tested positive for COVID-19, and what is your thoughts on the other outbreaks among AEW and Impact Wrestling as well?
I hope that he gets better. I'm happy that he does not feeling symptoms, so I'm guessing that he doesn't have it as it's not impacting him as much as others are or have been affected.
Symptomatic type.
Yeah. So you have like the antibodies and shit inside your system, and it can fight it away or whatever. So that's great, and I'm happy that, you know, I'm hoping that he was. First of all, the Legends of Night was like a super spread in itself. But anywho, because I'm like sitting there watching, I'm like, all of these, like you said, all of these guys of a certain age are the ones that can be attacked at it very well. And I'm like, look at WWE, don't just don't give a damn about being a super spreader. They just want to get ratings. And we're having this corny Legends night, and we're doing this. But anywho, we're not talking about that day. I just hope that these guys I think people don't believe it until they actually get it, maybe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Get much serious. I think once they're like, oh shit, like we really gotta like do what we need to do and like chill out and like maybe not go to everyone's house or, you know, or things like that. Maybe we shouldn't go to this person's event. I get it. Trust me. Everyone is just tired of just like being in like this whole like mode that we've never been in, you know, and like everyone just wants everything to go back to normal. But we're not going to go back to normal until the cases are not happening. Like people can get the shots, but people can still get COVID. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope wrestlers are just, you know, just doing their part and just like being more careful, because once a person gets it, you're like, wow, like this is some real stuff. And you know, now that person has to now be indoors and they have to quarantine and they got to get tested again. It's a whole thing once you find that you have COVID. And like Drew, most people don't feel certain kind of way. You know, most people don't feel the symptoms and things like that. But you have others that are getting the fevers and the chills, and you just got to like just be careful and be cautious. And I just hope that they're doing more testing now, since, you know, Drew was around all these people, and maybe he's not like a spreader, but he received it. So I'm not, you know, I don't know how the whole thing like still works in itself. Still, like we still don't know how this thing works.
Yeah.
So I just hope that they all wrestlers across the board, everybody, just be safe and just do what you need to do so that we can just all go back to fucking normal.
I think we're all learning as it goes on, and so is professional wrestling. What, Top Guy JJ, what is your thoughts on the revelation that Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks and Chris Jericho, and I do have to add this with Chris Jericho, this was after he was a part of that concert in Sturgis that had 250,000 people who tested positive for the virus. So what was your thoughts on those two revealing that they tested positive for the virus back in September?
Shame on them.
Mm-hmm.
Shame on them, because it's like, honestly, and I'm gonna say shame on them because they're gonna sit there and go on national TV and have one of their talents go out and talk about a show as running a sloppy show. But not only were they not running a sloppy show, y'all were now hiding positive tests.
Yes.
So you're being actually just as sloppy as the company that is not even acknowledging it. Mm-hmm. At least we knew a company was going into it and not acknowledging it at all. Yeah. But now you have people that's actually getting the most serious thing in the world right now, and you didn't even shed any light on it until 4 months later? Like 4 months later, like how many other people could have been contracted? How many other people they could have been affected by this? How many families did he interact with? How many fans were in the stand? Like how many people were you going to cross contact with? Obviously, they probably kept that under wraps. They probably kept him secluded from people because they knew he had it. But you guys are running a public show. You guys are running a sporting event. If this was the NFL, the NBA, or any other sport, they would have been on. They would have been headlined as being people that is hiding shit, being called to be shut down.
Yep.
So what makes AEW so special that they were able to hide people receiving positive tests and them not spreading the news of two of the biggest names in the sport, that this is the reason that they're not here.
Yep.
Because they were big on talking about COVID. But then two of their biggest stars, probably many others, also got contracted with this thing, but there's no words of it. These are the only two that just came out.
I agree and disagree with what you said. I don't think that it's a fair comparison to talk about the sloppy shop thing, because the reason why Taz went out in public and called them a sloppy shop is because they weren't testing at all. So that's totally different from two guys testing positive for it or revealing it too late. I do think that they are definitely open to criticism for not making that more transparent earlier. In the case of Nick Jackson, he was off of TV for over a month, and it was speculated. It was actually reported, and we talked about it here on Tru Heel Heat, that the September 9th taping was where Ben Carter, Lance Archer, and others had tested positive, and that AEW did have an outbreak. And AEW, even unlike WWE, made a comment about it and actually was like, had to reveal people like Lance Archer was affected, like Ben Carter was affected. You can't go out and name every single person that tested positive. It's really up to the talent. That's why, WWE has had over 40 wrestlers test positive for it, and we only know of 8 because the 8 people decided to make that open. You can criticize them for keeping it under wraps for that long, but I don't think it's a fair comparison to say that they're a sloppy shop like WWE, because WWE denied that there was a virus.
No. Time out. No. What I'm saying is that time out. No, what I'm saying is that they had the audacity to go on TV and call them a sloppy shop when they are having.
July. That was in July. That wasn't in September.
All right, but it doesn't escape them from having a little bit of criticism come their way.
Right. Like I said, they deserve it.
That's all I'm saying with it, because AEW gets away with not gets away with shit, but they don't get criticized that much because they have been a wonderful thing for us. But this was a boo-boo. This is something that they come on, like you don't hide shit like this. This is something that you don't hide. You don't inform us 4 months later that this man has tested, and then obviously he went to do this concert, but we didn't know that he could have contracted it from the concert. He could have got it going there, or he could have brought it to the concert for all we know, and infected the entire concert.
Yeah.
Like,
no, this is why I specified they are open to criticism for not making it transparent. But comparing it to the sloppy shop type of thing that was said in July when AEW was doing tests, and they were even testing WWE talent that were not being tested in
WWE was a sloppy. They are a sloppy shop.
Exactly. AEW.
This is not giving WWE a stop.
No. But you're the one that mentioned it. You didn't have to mention it.
This is not giving WWE a pass at all. They're not getting a pass for this shit.
I'm not saying WWE deserves a pass. I'm saying you can't call AEW a sloppy shop as well, because they have made the adjustments to this whole situation. You can call a sloppy shop. You can't call AEW a sloppy shop. You could call Chris Jericho a sloppy shop, because Chris Jericho is sloppy.
But he represents AEW.
And I
represents AEW. He is a part of that brand. So it's not fair to say that, but he is a part of that brand. And this is not calling but I'm saying you're gonna criticize one company and then you're kind of turning around and doing something similar. Not similar, but you shit. COVID doesn't have a name. It does not have a name attached to it. So this shit does not escape from a company. This shit hits everybody. So the fact that you guys had this and didn't say anything for months is like, dude, come on. Like, yo, you're going to criticize one place, but then you're kind of hiding details on your side.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of all I'm saying about it. Like, no, fuck WWE. Yo, listen, we are not going to have a 2.5 hour podcast on how I feel about WWE and COVID.
No. I'm just saying the sloppy shop phrase. I know the contents of why they were called that, and I don't think that is the same thing we can categorize AEW when they've been a lot better in their treatment before and after their whole outbreak that happened in September.
Oh, absolutely. AEW's head and shoulders better. But
John, so final question on this topic. Do you think that the wrestling world needs to have some type of stop to kind of stop this whole spread of COVID with this latest outbreak among the three promotions?
Yeah, I think wrestling should have a kind of off season anyway. I think that wrestlers more than any athlete need recovery time. I think it was Sami Zayn who said, he took 3 months off, and you could see the kind of, this was before COVID as well, you could see the kind of rejuvenation and his love for wrestling had returned just from this time off to let his body heal and stuff. And regarding running through COVID, it was those first early shows in the PC where, before they got the Thunderdome, the cameras in, they were fucking depressing. There was like, I don't think I rewatched Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley from WrestleMania not long ago. And that was just weird. It was just bizarre, because it was just not what you were used to. The match was still good, but you look back, and they'll be remembered for its kind of unprecedented style of it. But if you look back, if you rewatch them now, they're hard to watch. They're unwatchable almost. So it does beg the question, what did it matter if they just didn't have some shows for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, until they got clear and consistent barriers in place, like I said before, the reports were that they were only just kind of testing temperatures at first. There was no masks. I think it was Kevin Owens, wasn't it, who said, "Why aren't we wearing masks all the time?" Yeah. So selfishly, I was very glad that the wrestling did continue. Hence, like I said before earlier about AEW, that's a godsend, them getting Daly's place. It's open air. It's not as kind of contained as the PC, but it was, selfishly, I enjoyed it because I've watched a lot more wrestling during lockdown than I have, and they have given me that break, that escape. They have given me that escape, but on a kind of human level, where when COVID first hit, where it was like, if you get it, you're gonna die.
Right.
That, what I mean? When it first came out, it was like, you were gone if you got it. But so no, on a human level, I don't think they should have continued. And as I said, if you go back and look at those kind of bizarre shows, there's bizarre matches, just because there was no crowd and there was no other atmosphere than that. It wouldn't have hurt to just take a break, to take the foot off the gas. Maybe just, you know what I mean? Do you remember those shows when they would just showed like the entire Royal Rumble? Like,
yeah,
just like, they were like, fuck, we've got all this time to kill. They could have just easily done reruns and stuff like that. I know it wouldn't have been as ratings grabbing as they still need it to be, but you've got to think. You've got to take away, the entertainment side and start thinking of, the wrestlers as human beings with families, with babies, with partners, with parents, with grandparents that should have been at home rather than sweating it out in a wrestling ring, So, yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy situation. But I do think if you look at the bigger picture as well, wrestling continuing has given, like NBA and the Premier League football over here, and is NFL running now?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I do think that those companies or that those sports looked at WWE and AEW and were like, well, if they can do it, we can do it. So they have kind of set a good or bad, precedent. You don't know. So to wrap it up, I don't think they should have ran, but I'm also glad that they did. It's a very on-sense answer, but yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in a little bit with that, and I completely agree with the fact that I believe wrestling should have an off season. I believe as in wrestling, after WrestleMania, according to companies altogether, because WrestleMania is the biggest show. Out of every company can agree WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. So WrestleMania season should basically be the wrap-up month for all wrestling promotions. And take about 2 to 3 months off. Come back in July. Because you don't the pay-per-views that happens between April and July are very meaningless.
Yeah,
you might get a banger here out of 2 there, with the exception of AEW trying to do something with Double or Nothing right now, and then New Japan with G1 Climax that happens during that time. It's just they can move those things and to give people these breaks that they so desperately need. But then to come back to what being out with COVID and shutting down. Wrestling gave every single sport in America the courage to come back.
Yeah.
Because wrestling is the one that didn't stop. Wrestling is the one that found a way to make it work. So as the way we get on them and talk about their lack of protocols, this is the first time anybody's had to deal with protocols. So this is the first time anybody's had to deal with this type of stuff. So the fact that they actually went balls in and knee deep to really make this work, they definitely deserve a round of applause for that, because this is a bunch of wrestling companies that tried this. So this isn't just WWE, this is MLW, this is new. Ring of Honor had to step in after a while. Impact took some, so everyone. So wrestling is so many companies. So it's not like the NBA where there's like 10 different leagues in the NBA. There's the NBA, you got the NFL. There's 20 different leagues in the NFL. There's like 20 different wrestling companies. So the fact that they stepped up and they were actually able to do this during the pandemic, they get major props to that. But I do definitely think that there should be an off season to wrestling. I really think there should be a 2 to 3 month off season to wrestling.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we got to move on, guys. So we'll definitely keep track of this whole outbreak and how it affects all those companies. But we got to talk about the rest of the news. So yes, we have other news from WWE, Voices of Wrestling, and WrestleVotes. This is WWE and New Japan news. They report that Jay White, Switchblade, has a lot of support among WWE talent and that it is 50-50 that he signs with WWE. However, Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio over the weekend reports that Jay White told AEW at the end of 2018 that he signed a 7-year deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he speculated that the promo was a part of an angle. And New Japan this week has removed Jay White from their website. Miss Krssi Luv, as someone who's a New Japan fan but a lifelong WWE fan, what do you think that Jay White will go to WWE?
Okay, first I want to just say that my prediction was right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What?
For New Japan. Duh. I was not here last week.
You said Ibushi.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, both picked Ibushi. Congratulations.
Yeah, he was the only one that didn't pick Ibushi. So.
I just wanted something different because everybody picked Ibushi.
Ibushi is different. Ibushi's never won the title before.
I picked him to win the title in night 1 but lose it in night 2.
That would be so Ibushi. That would be the same thing Ibushi's done for years.
How? When Ibushi's never won the title
he
before?
always comes up short, though. He always comes up short.
Won it. He never won it.
But winning it and then losing it the next night is coming up short, sir.
That's some Ibushi. Yeah, that's some Ibushi shit.
Miss Krssi.
So yeah, he's the boy band of New Japan. Anywho, I don't know if I want him to go to if he does go to WWE, he can't go to NXT. He has to go straight to the main roster. He has to go straight up and straight to the top. Mm-hmm. There's no way that he can just sit around and wait. No, he's like, you can't let this you can't let this gold mine go like that. There's no way. Forget Karrion Kross and all those other damn people. He has to go straight all the way to the damn top. Don't let this mess up, because if you mess, you got if you your money could pull this man in. If you guys could pull him off, which I hope he doesn't. But
they got it. They got the money.
Hey, we shall see with that.
They definitely got the money.
Speaking of talent and signing with WWE, Wrestling Observer reports that Matt Riddle has not re-signed with WWE, even though reports said that he did. Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live also reported that Ricochet has not re-signed with WWE with his contract reportedly about to expire. John, what do you think that Ricochet should re-sign with WWE? And if not, where should he go?
No, he should not. They've killed that guy, man. He was one of the most astounding wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. Yep. They should bankroll Lucha Underground to start up again, and so he has somewhere to go that appreciates
Prince Puma.
Yeah, man, Prince Puma. He was like, the stuff he used to do was just mind blowing, and they've just neutered him to the point where he'll do his like 860 finisher move, and you kind of go, oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's gone from like, holy shit, how did he do that without dying, to like, oh yeah, he did that move again, because they you know, I mean, and then that Brock Lesnar thing was just they even based a Chronicle or a 365 round it, which was even weirder. Like that, so. You know, and then the poor guy is mixed up with Retribution at the minute, and you know, Ali is trying his best, man. Ali deserves a flipping Oscar for the effort that he's putting in from this Dead on Arrival.
Putting in effort for this shit, but go ahead.
We deserve effort for watching it. Where do you think Ricochet should go, though?
I'm going to say AEW, but then I do feel he'd get lost in AEW as well. AEW, you know what I mean? Like, for me, another two of standout performers from Lucha Underground were Jack Evans and Angelico. And look what they've done with that. You know what I mean? AEW was spoiled for choice with fantastic wrestlers, and I do feel that he may get lost in the shuffle there as well. He had a decent run in New Japan. He'd be fantastic there. But MLW are definite contender there. Obviously, it must go down. You know, it's obviously all down to money for what they can give him. But if he's him versus Leo Rush would be a very tasty encounter indeed. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him maybe just kind of spread his wings back out on the indies again. You know.
Yeah, that's a good shout, MLW, though. We have further update on the Royal Rumble. WrestleVotes tweeted this exactly. Still getting a ton of Royal Rumble fan attendance questions. The fact of the matter is WWE views the stress, manpower, and complete undertaking of removing the Thunderdome for one night as just too much to make it all work. Sad but true, the wait continues. This follows up from last week where we talked about the Royal Rumble will not have fans this year, so it should be a very different show. WWE announced this week.
Oh my, I'm sorry. I said just cancel it.
No, you're ridiculous. They got the piped in 10-9-8-7-6-5.
Oh my god!
Well, they could pipe. This is awesome. They could pipe in a countdown.
Exactly. WWE announced this week that they will have a special event televised in India called WWE Superstar Spectacle. In their press release, they revealed that it will be televised in India on January 26th from the Thunderdome. It's going to mark the return of the modern day Maharaja, Top Guy JJ's favorite superstar, Jinder Mahal. The list of talent also lists.
Yes!
I was waiting for that.
Yes! Don't hinder Jinder, you bastards!
WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, Rey Mysterio, WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Charlotte Flair, AJ Styles, Bayley, The New Day, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, SmackDown Tag Team Champions, The Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode, Ricochet, and many more, plus an appearance from WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair was announced for the show. Kofi Kingston revealed that he has a jaw injury, which will keep him out of action for a number of weeks. Fightful Select reports that when Retribution were offered new WWE contracts back in the fall of 2020, it was for a 3-year deal worth $250,000 per year. The offer was made to every member of the group except for Mustafa Ali, who already had a contract on the main roster. This is actually much lower than the typical WWE contracts superstars were offered over the past 2 years due to the global pandemic. Speaking of contracts, Wrestling Inc. revealed that WWE passed on signing the current ROH World Champion, Rush, with sources saying that his asking price was too high. And SmackDown drew 2.120 million viewers, and Raw drew 1.819 million viewers this past week. Yes.
Going up, yo.
It is. It's staying consistent.
But what is people expecting? When $250,000 to stay in one city, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Like, they're doing no house shows. They're doing nothing else but the televised shows. The house shows are basically obsolete.
I agree, and they just had the wrong timing for this, because if this was the past 2 years, they could use AEW as a marketing tool, but $250,000 right now is definitely good bread for them.
Stay your ass in the same place? Hell yeah, that's a good contract.
AEW news. AEW announces their first ever Dynamite Awards that will air live exclusively on Bleacher Report app on January 27th. We will talk more about the categories and nominees and missing nominees next week on Tru Heel Heat 109. New Japan Pro Wrestling announces that the major matches for the New Beginning tour with Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Shingo Takagi for the Never Openweight Championship in Naragohu on January 30th. You got Sho versus Hiromu Takahashi for the Junior Heavyweight Championship on February 10th, and Kota Ibushi defending the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental titles versus Sanada on February 11th. Those final two shows in Hiroshima. So that's a great 3 main events for their big shows for the New Beginning tour. ROH News, Wrestle Inc. reports that Dalton Castle is now officially a free agent. We talked about Roosh getting denied a contract with WWE. Do you think WWE will knock on Dalton Castle's door, Top Guy JJ?
Hell no.
Well,
hell no. Hell no.
Well,
without the boys?
That was it.
No.
That was an emphatic no.
Without the boys?
ROH re-signed Brian Johnson this week as well. Impact Wrestling News. Impact Wrestling reveals that Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown will be the new commentary team for the company. Josh Matthews is transitioning to a backstage role as senior producer for the weekly show and pay-per-view, while Madison Rayne will announce her wrestling future at Hard to Kill. And Fightful Select reports that things went smooth between New Japan Pro Wrestling and Impact Wrestling in regards to Chris Bay working the Super J Cup with Scott D'Amore granting permission. And then our final net wrestling news piece is former Tru Heel's BTR Between the Ropes guest AJ Kirsch revealed that his contract with MLW has expired, and he made a surprise appearance as Broseph J. Brody on AEW Dark. So congratulations to him getting much more exposure on AEW Dark this week. But that brings us to this weekend, this Saturday, Impact Hard to Kill. It is the first pay-per-view of 2021 for Impact Wrestling, and my oh my, it has a whole lot of buzz. It follows up from Slammiversary and Bound for Glory that also had similar buzz, but this one is at a new level thanks in part to the main event of the evening. But let's talk about the rest of the card. Start from the bottom to the top. We got the just announced Brian Myers will go one-on-one with Josh Alexander of the North. These two men met a couple of weeks ago with the Karate Man interfering, causing the disqualification for Josh Alexander. But who wins here one-on-one? We got the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers, or Josh Alexander. Let's start with you, John.
I'm a big fan of Alexander. I think he is one of the best wrestlers going at the minute. I think with oh God, his name escapes me. What was
Ethan
his tag team
Page?
partner called? Ethan Page. Thank you. With Ethan Page was obviously the charismatic person in that tag team, whereas Josh Alexander was the kind of like grinding wrestler, the Rick Steiner almost, with the headgear and stuff. And Brian Myers is a vastly underappreciated wrestler. I think he's a lot of his students that he's taught speak very, very highly of him. So, he was unfortunately given that, weird losing streak in WWE when he came back. It was fun and stuff, but, it never really got to show his true talent. So I think a match between him and Alexander, I think they're going to kind of show what they can do, It's a chance for Josh Alexander to kind of spread his wings without Ethan Page. And it's a chance for Brian Myers to kind of show what he can do in the ring with a really good wrestler.
Are you going for Josh Alexander in this one?
As much as it pains me, yes. I'm a big Brian. I love Brian Myers and Zack Ryder, Matt Cordona's podcast and their YouTube videos. They've really showed the kind of really good like kind of human side. You can actually kind of connect with them and stuff where they're just like kind of big kids. But so I really enjoy Brian Myers. But yeah, I think Josh Alexander, they push him, man. I think Impact should really push him. He could be a contender within the next couple of months, given the right angles and storyline and whatnot.
Agree there. Josh Alexander or Brian Myers, Miss Krssi Luv?
Alexander's the guy from the north.
Yes.
That's the dude I'm gonna go with.
All right. And top guy JJ, who you got?
You kind of made me feel bad with the Brian Myers thing, man, about he deserves it. But come on, man, he ain't beating nobody from the north, man. We going with Josh Alexander all the way here.
I gotta agree with everybody over here. I'm going with Josh Alexander to get the win as well. Next up, you got mixed tag team action. Is going to be Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K going up against the reunited Decay of Rosemary and Crazy Steve. I am going to go with the reuniting of the Decay to get the victory here. Who do you got, top guy JJ?
Come on, man. You know I pick Bay for everything, but for some reason, and just so you know, John, Tennille is Bay.
Cool.
But why the fuck is Crazy Steve still around? Like why? Like why is he still around?
Hey, this man is overcoming blindness.
He is taking shine away from Tennille. He is taking shine away from my baby Tennille Dashwood and going. Fuck. All right, I'm going with Steven Rose. Oh, fuck. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry.
Okay, there you go. Who you got, Krssi Luv?
I was gonna go with the one with the K because that's I always do the same thing. It's Crystal with the K. Hello.
You're going with Caleb with the K and Tennille? Absolutely.
I know they're gonna lose, but it's okay.
Thank you, boo. Somebody's gonna take the L for me, but you know, thank you.
Who you got, John?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K.
Yay!
I think there's more upside for that duo to win over a kind of.
Wrong. I want to be. I'm changing my pick. I'm going with Bay. I'm going with Bay. Fuck Crazy Steve. Like I can't. What the fuck is Crazy Steve still doing in wrestling? Like, come on.
Jesus Christ! All right, shoot. So next up, we got.
Who are you picking?
I already picked. I'm picking the reunited Decay. I was the first one to pick. Old school rules, 6-man tag team action is going to be Tommy Dreamer, Rhino, and Cousin Jake versus Eric Young's new stable with Joe Doring and Cody Deaner. Who you got in this one? John, this is a battle with Eric Young kind of making his new stable. He has targeted Rhino and Heath Slater. They took him out, as well as Cousin Jake, separating him from his cousin Cody Deaner. So who you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Eric Young. I think he came back to Impact with a hell of a lot of momentum after being treated terribly on Raw and SmackDown.
He had no treatment.
Exactly. Yeah, it was that bad. He had treatment. Yeah. So I think again, there's a lot more upside. No offense, I love him, but you know what I mean. We don't need to see Tommy Dreamer getting another win. So it's going to be. There's more upside and there's more momentum behind Eric Young and who's the big cowboy guy?
Joe Doring.
Yeah, he's got a good look and really good kind of the heavy behind Eric Young's crazy. So I'll go with that. I'll go with Eric Young.
I'm gonna agree with you and go with Eric Young's new group. Who do you got, Miss Krssi Luv?
Why is Tommy Dreamer fighting?
yo, that's why we here.
He's like Ken Shamrock and RVD. Go sit down some damn place.
And they all work for Impact, yo.
I know. This is ridiculous. Like, Impact needs to, we need a board of directors or something, shut it down.
Yo, we give them props and then they have shit like this.
Yeah,
gotta fill the roster.
Not Tommy Dreamer winning. The other team, please.
Okay, Eric Young stable.
So you see how you got the Okada wins LOL. This is gonna be for me. Tommy Dreamer loses LOL.
Yes, Tommy Dreamer does lose a lot. It seems. This one, huh?
He needs to.
Yeah, in this case, In this case, I agree. This one is very personal. Years and years of build up to this. It is Barbed Wire Massacre. Eddie Edwards going one-on-one with Sami Callahan. It was all the way back in 2018 that Sami Callahan made his name in Impact Wrestling, where he hit Eddie Edwards in the eye with the Callahan Slugger, almost blinding the man. These two men have gone back and forth now 3 years because we're in 2021. So now it's going to finally end at Hard to Kill in a barbed wire massacre with barbed wire surrounding the ring. Wow. This one will be physical. This one will be dangerous. Who do you got in this, Top Guy JJ?
I'm going to go with Sami Callahan. He's fresh off a new contract, and he needs a big year in 2021. 2020 was straight dog shit for him. So we need a Sami Callahan 2021 because when he was the draw, he was the man in Impact. And I need the return of the man. And Eddie Edwards, to me, I'm just whatever.
Who do you got? Callahan. Who you got, Krssi?
Callahan. I would love to see this match. What platform can I see this on now?
This is on Fight TV as well as pay-per-view. So yes, there's multiple ways for people to watch this. This is definitely a must-see show for Impact Wrestling. John
sent the link. I'll see it from there. Okay,
I got you. John, who you got? Edwards versus Callahan.
Yeah, it's got to be Callahan. He's just brutal in those like kind of hardcore setting matches. So yeah, poor Eddie Edwards, man. He's gonna get absolutely brutalized, I think. Sami Callahan, he's scared. He makes me uncomfortable watching him.
Exactly. Yeah, he be alright. Eddie always be alright. He was the Impact champion before. He be alright.
Yeah. But yeah, so
he alright.
Yeah, Callahan, Sami Callahan all the way.
I'm going to be different in this one, and I'm going to go with Eddie Edwards. Since it's the blow-off to the feud, it always makes sense for the babyface to win the blow-off, so I'm going to go with Eddie Edwards in this one. In the most unique match on this card, it will be Ethan Page going one-on-one with his alter ego, the Karate Man. Yes. Yes. It is like Cactus Jack versus Dude Love. It is like Sue Young versus Susie. It is like the Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt versus The Fiend. It will all be in one. The Karate Man versus Ethan Page in what might be Ethan Page's final match in Impact Wrestling. Who do you got, John?
I think Karate Man's got this in the bag. Karate Man has got all the momentum behind him. Everyone's kind of talking about Karate Man because it's just hilarious. I've always enjoyed Ethan Page, his charisma and his kind of like sharp wit and is you know what I mean. He's a fantastic wrestler, but he's just got this charisma that makes him stand out. And Karate Man, it's just that amazing, like tongue in cheek craziness that I enjoy out of wrestling. I know some people might not like it, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. But so I hope that they go like uber like cornball and just have like, you know, really bad like old school 70s kung fu movies where they're not even like you know, like they won't even be on the same eye level.
Yes,
the CGI will be wrong and shit.
And
like
you
that.
see the pow bang.
Yeah. I hope they go like full on cheese. So yeah, but I think, you know, Karate Man, you know, he's his moniker is Karate Man, and he'll live up to that.
Who you got, Tough Guy JJ?
I mean, Cobra Kai is the hottest thing on Netflix right now, so you got to keep karate alive. You know what I mean? Karate Man definitely for the win here, man. Ethan Page is about to hit the bricks, bro. Karate Man definitely taking this one. Simple as that.
My ranking: Johnny Lawrence, Daniel LaRussa, Karate Man. He is in third place behind those two. So I'm gonna go with Karate Man to get the victory over Ethan Page. Who do you got, Miss Krssi Luv?
I'm Karate Man across the board, friend.
Unanimous for the Karate Man. Knockouts Tag Team Title Tournament will conclude at Hard to Kill. You got the tag team of Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz going up against Havoc and Nevaeh. We've had Havoc on Tru Heel's BTR, very talented former Knockouts champion. Her and Nevaeh have really gelled together as a team over the last couple of months, but they have never defeated the team of Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, who are the cocky upstarts who have been the favorites to win this entire tournament. Who do you got, Miss Krssi Luv? Kiera and Tasha versus Havoc and Nevaeh.
Ooh. You said they've never beat them before?
Yes, they've never beaten Kiera and Tasha.
And how many times have they met?
They've versed, I think, 2 to 3 times, and they're 0-3.
Okay, go with the underdog that is 0-3. Let
Havoc and Nevaeh you got winning?
Havoc and Nevaeh to win, yes. They gotta win something.
Top guy JJ?
I'm going with my girl Krssi on this one.
Going with Havoc and Nevaeh?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm gonna agree.
We need to see some streaks broken.
You know what? I am gonna be different as well on this one. I love Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. They just have so much charisma together. They are awesome together, and I think they're gonna be the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Who you got, John?
Echo your sentiments. Yeah, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz have just got so much like momentum behind them. They look $1 million. I think they've got this in the back. I think to kickstart the Knockouts division, a babyface, uber babyface team needs to have it. Although I do like Nevaeh and Havoc, I think they're good opponents. But I think with the kind of win streak and the advantage that they've got, I think Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz have got this one.
So we got two on each side, so that's going to be definitely a good matchup. But in my opinion, this right here is going to be the dark horse match of the night for the Impact Knockouts Championship. Is going to be Deonna Purrazzo going one-on-one with Taya Valkyrie. Deonna Purrazzo is a 2-time Knockouts champion. She was the 2020 Knockout of the Year, 2020 Impact Wrestling Wrestler of the Year, and she has called herself the greatest knockout of all time. But she is versing the longest reigning Impact Knockouts champion in history in Taya Valkyrie. So this will determine who is the GOAT of all the knockouts, Taya or Deonna. Who do you got, John?
This is a tough one. This is probably one of the matches on the card where it could go either way. We've already seen Deonna Purrazzo lose the championship to Su Yung.
Yeah.
Last year, like you said, Taya Valkyrie is the longest reigning Knockouts champion of all time. But I think it'll be Deonna Purrazzo's win. It'll be like she's overcoming that legend. She's Taya Valkyrie's coming in as the stalwart of that division, and I think for Purrazzo to get the victory with the Venus de Milo, that'll be her, another notch on the gun. That'll be a kind of statement that she's here to stay, and the title is going to be very, very difficult to get off her.
All right, Krssi Luv, who you got? Deonna versus Taya.
How's Taya Valkyrie married to John Morris?
I can't explain the logistics behind that. So
I don't know that, but anyway, I'm gonna go with the GOAT. God, I love her. I mean, I love both of them, but I'm gonna go with the GOAT on this one, which is Taya Valkyrie.
Who you got, Taya or Deonna? Top guy JJ.
Damn, because I feel like for some reason I feel like Taya is WWE bound, Joe. For some weird reason, I just feel like somewhere in the future she's heading over there.
Well, man.
You got right off to the sunset. So I'm going with Deonna to take this because I see Taya heading out soon.
I agree I agree with John and JJ. I am going with Deanna to get the victory. Impact X Division Championship is on the line. It will be Manic defending in a triple threat against Rohit Raju and Chris Bay. It was TJP who took on the moniker of Manic once again to defeat Rohit Raju back at Final Resolution to win the X Division Championship. Chris Bay, the former X Division champion, got a little revenge on Rohit Raju, using him to get a victory by DQ over Manic, and now we have this three-way with the title on the line. Who do you got, Miss Krssi Luv, Manic, Rohit, or Chris Bay?
Chris Bay. Chris Bay for the win.
I am going to. No, yeah, I can't pick Manic. I hate TJP so much. I'm gonna go with Chris Bay to get the victory and become the new X Division champion. Who you got, JJ?
Let's go. Yo, for some reason, Mahik is not supposed to win this match. But for some reason, I feel like he is going to win this match.
You said Rohit or Mahik?
Rohit.
Okay. Who you got, Manic, Rohit, or Chris Bay, John?
Chris Bay. Chris Bay's got all the momentum behind him. I think he's a can't miss star for Impact. And I think if they want to keep hold of him, they have to give him lots and lots of gold. So give him the X Division Championship, please.
Lots and lots of gold, yes.
I agree there. And then finally, it is the main event of the evening, the one that everybody is looking forward to. Six-man tag team action is going to be the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega teaming with the Impact Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, to verse the Impact World Champion Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. Kenny Omega made his appearance on Impact Wrestling and said that he is going to be a belt collector of sorts, and he realigned himself with the Good Brothers, his former Bullet Club teammates. They then had Carl Anderson cheat his way to victory over Chris Sabin with the Motor City Machine Guns, looking to get another shot at the Impact World Tag Team Championships, while Rich Swann kind of interjected himself in that, not liking the new attitude change of Carl Anderson, and then they were jumped by Omega and the Good Brothers backstage to set up the six-man tag team matchup. This is the match everybody is talking about, AEW and Impact Wrestling in the main event. Who you got, the Super Elite or Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns? Let's start with you, John.
I think the Super Elite got this. Otherwise, it's not off to a good start. I think they need to win this just to kind of assert their dominance and show, that they're here to kind of run roughshod over Impact and AEW. So I'm going with the Good Brothers and Kenneth Omega.
I love it.
Who you got, Krssi?
Right. You can't start. The whole point of this is to be big and be dominant. You can't go over there and lose. Sorry. If you do it, then what's the whole throw everything in the trash now.
Time.
For nothing, the Good Boys. First of all, shout out to the Good Boys. Who
Good
were
Brothers?
Yeah,
Not the Good Boys.
You know what I mean.
They're grown ass men, boo.
Shout out to the Good Brothers, because they were one released from their job, and now look, they work for two companies. So, shout out to them for leaving and doing and having balls and make the proper club reunion work. There you go, friend.
Top guy, JJ.
Is this really a question?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how this is going to happen. I just feel that they're going to win dirty. But definitely the Super Elite is going to win this match. Like, there's no way this doesn't continue. So the Super Elite is definitely winning this match, but they're just going to do it kind of shiesty.
I think the Super Elite get the victory here with Kenny Omega pinning the Impact World Champion Rich Swann to set up a champion versus champion match down the line. So yes, that is all for our preview and predictions for Impact Hard to Kill this Saturday, January 16th, live on pay-per-view starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's also available on Fight TV. For folks like John in the UK, you could check it out live, and it's going to be a very, very interesting and intriguing show for sure. But that sends us off to our conclusion for Tru Heel Heat 108. A plug for our lineup on our YouTube channel. You could check out our exclusive interview for Tru Heel's BTR Between the Ropes with Diego Del Sol of AEW and AEW Dark. That's up on the YouTube channel right now. The Blunt Impact special for Impact Genesis. The latest editions of AE Recap with myself as special guest. Wednesday Night Warriors with Ness as a special guest. Blunt Impact, Review of Honor, Dark Power, Richie's Raw Recap, True Rewind, and J News Japan are all up right now. You can also check out brand new editions of Wednesday Night Warriors, Blunt Impact, Dark Power, J News Japan, Review of Honor, True Rewind, and AE Recap with myself as special guest once again for New Year Smash Night 2 that are going to be up this weekend and next week. And also we will have our second pay-per-view roundtable review of 2021 for Impact Hard to Kill, and that's going to either be live on Sunday or at least it will be early next week. So check that out for sure, and check out Wrestle2 YouTube channel for Wrestling Daily this week with me and Louis Dangor breaking down the latest wrestling news. John, Duffy, thank you so much for joining us on Tru Heel Heat 108.
Yes, sir.
An excellent guest. Thank you for your insight, and please tell the people where they can find you online.
I'm on Twitter and Twitter only at John J. Duffy, and you can check out, I regularly retweet and post all of my work for Diva Dirt and the Sportskeeda. I was going to say for Sportskeeda, if I can get my words out. But check out my timeline and see all the stuff that I do over there. But thanks for having me, guys. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been great to chat wrestling with new people.
Yes, sir.
Episode 108 is an episode to remember.
For sure. We were glad to have you, and definitely you're
Awesome.
welcome back to come back on again, man. Miss Krssi Luv, where can they find you?
I am the stage Miss Krssi Luv. You can find me on IG, Twitter, and on Facebook.
And Top Guy JJ.
Instagram, you can find me at Tru Heel _Top Guy JJ. Facebook, I'm simply Justin Johnson. Twitter, I never use.
Of course. You can follow Tru Heel Heat on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can follow me at Tru Heel _Epic SP3 on Instagram. You follow our friends over at Battle Club Pro, Wrestling Travel, Warrior Wrestling, Mission Pro Wrestling. Next event, Wishes Granted, on February 6th. We are the official sponsors for that event, so you'll be seeing great content and great interviews from Mission Pro coming up here on the YouTube channel. Of course, you can listen to Tru Heel Heat on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to your favorite audio podcast platforms. Like this video, share this video with all your wrestling fans and friends. Push the subscribe button and the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. And of course, you can also watch Tru Heel Heat on Powered 4 TV. So for our special guest, Mr. John Duffy, for the sensational Miss Krssi Luv, for our resident Tru Heel alcoholic Top Guy JJ, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. Until Tru Heel Heat 109 next week, we are signing off until next time.